invisible influence. A man doesn't realize that while he's carving his name into the cement, the level of influence that comes from people that are not even that you're not even thinking about. And there was a story you told me about two people that were very influenced by you, and you didn't even realize it.
Yeah, so my son is 13 now, and about a couple weeks back, I asked him. I said, "Hey, high school goes by fast. It's a really short 4 years. You should start thinking about what colleges you're thinking about going to, whether it's out of state, in state, and kind of just start to plant that seed." And without hesitation, his reaction was, "Dad, I want to go to Montclair State University." And I'm like, "Why do you want to go there?" He's like, "Oh, because that's where you went." I'm like, "Oh, okay, that's interesting." Like, but it's my son, so it's like I kind of expected it. It's like, "Oh, what do you want to do when you grow up?" "Oh, whatever my dad does." You know what I mean? So I was like, "All right, cool. I guess that would be cool, right, for my son to go to the same college I went to and sort of keep the lineage going." And a few weeks after that, I had the family over for dinner, and my nephew is 15. Uh, I think he's a sophomore in high school, and I asked him the same question. And without hesitation, he said Montclair State University. And I was kind of taken back. I was like, well, wait a minute. I'm like, so I asked him the same question, like, why do you want to go there? He's like, oh, I saw you go there, and I saw the pictures, and it looks like a beautiful school, and I want to stay in New Jersey. And he had all these reasons. And it dawned on me, I'm like, wow, I never pushed this particular college to these two individuals, my son and my nephew. But somehow through, you know, invisible influence, they saw, first of all, I was the only college graduate in my family, right? So someone had to break the mold to let the younger generation know, like, hey, uncle did it, like, why can't we do it, right? So I think I was that for them.
Yep.
And that was just me operating. Like, I didn't go to college thinking, oh, the next layer, the next generation of Sanchez's are going to follow my footsteps. But I think just naturally, them trying to navigate the world and saying, all right, which route I'm going to take. They look at their immediate family, right? Uncle, dad, mom, friends, whoever, and they start to pick like their influences, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy, I'm proud that I could be that for them.
I've always admired you because you've always got it done from a more chill, calm, not so braggadocious perspective. But you've gotten way more done in one lifetime than most people I know. You never were like the most loudest person in the room. And I think you are an example of the theory that you don't have to be the loudest to lead. And kind of like the theme of this question, or the reason why we wanted to talk about it, is like you weren't loud, you didn't push it on your kids, you didn't even push it on your family, you just kind of did it yourself, and they're copying you. You know, even if you didn't intend for them to follow your blueprint, you laid a blueprint and you did it in a way that they wanted to follow it. So you're the example. They're watching you.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because you don't really think about the decisions you make as affecting or influencing others, but they do, right? And once it's kind of like the when you identify that you have a set of influence on people, especially people that you love, it's like you take a step back because you're like, oh, wait a minute, like I got to be extra cautious now of what I say, what I do, how I move, because I got followers. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
like you have no idea who's watching you.
you have
You
no
don't.
idea who's watching you.
And
Even
was it your cousin? I mean, I'm sorry, your nephew that caught you by surprise? Because you like, what is your relationship with him? Did you even see that?
yeah, my girlfriend's sister's son. She asked him. She was like, "Oh, what do you want to be when you grow up?" He's in first grade, so that's like a typical question
Yeah,
you
yeah.
ask a kindergartner, first grade. And he goes, "I want to be like Uncle Rich." And she was like, "Uncle Rich? Why do you want to be like Uncle Rich?" He was like, "Cause he gets a lot of money and he works from home."
I love that. It's either
Yeah.
you. It's either you or Kai Sanat. In his mind, you're a fucking streamer. You just chill at home all day.
He does. I have no idea what I do. He's just like, I just know he has money and he works from his house. He doesn't have to he doesn't have to go to a job. Um, but to add to the examples, it's another example of like, this child is 6 7 years old. Like, I'm not teaching him anything. He walks in, he sees my 4 monitors in my home office, and in his brain he's conceptualizing like, oh, my uncle must do something very important, right? Oh, he has a house, so therefore he has money. Whatever he's doing, it's working, and I want to be that.
Yeah.
And he's 7 years old, right? Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm glad that I this is why I love when you and I have conversations like this, because I'll share something and you'll be like, oh yeah, bro, that's called invisible influence. Like, I didn't even know that was a term, and then you hit me with like 5 different videos that you saw on the concept, and
Yeah.
I always love when we could go back and forth because like Not like you make, when I share this, you make it seem like, oh, bro, this is a real thing.
History repeats itself, but more than history repeating itself, human behavior repeats itself. And I love studying first generation millionaires or first generation billionaires or immigrants who changed the trajectory of their whole families, because I can relate to some of the things they're going through currently in the lives that we're living. And I'll pull things from a lot of the pressure and the stress and a lot of the untimely deaths a lot of these people had, because again, history repeats itself, but more than history repeating itself, human nature repeats itself. So one, thing that I shared with Rich when he told me that story was like, oh yeah, that's the burden of somebody who breaks the curse of generational poverty. Like being at the poverty line or being slightly below it is something that my family experienced and your family experienced. Obviously, your family came from the Dominican Republic. My parents lived in New York, but my grandparents came from Puerto Rico. So like they didn't come here with the plan to be investing all their ancillary funds and 401ks and cryptos and EFTs. That wasn't their plan. Their plan was just to get here and give us an opportunity, give your parents an opportunity, give my parents an opportunity. And I think, like I said, it's funny, it's going come full circle. Envy, who's my niece, she's the beneficiary of all the energy and time that went into everything that got us here. So you're the beneficiary of what came before you. You just expedited it. And the one thing that a lot of great people suffer from is this like imposter syndrome, because they don't believe that the success they're getting is truly deserved. So what happens is they try to downplay it, they try to minimalize it, they try to like they don't like bragging in front of their parents because they don't want their parents to feel lesser than. And obviously we've talked about that a lot. But a byproduct of that is you're trying to shrink yourself for the older people so they can still relate to you. But you don't realize a lot of the younger people are paying attention to you. And they're looking for examples of people who've made it. And in their mind are living different than the people that they know. So yeah, the internet's incredible because you can find people that are living a life that you've never lived. Right now, if I wanted to see what Singapore looked like, I could see it in HD. And theoretically, I went on vacation to Singapore. But the truth is, there's a big difference between map and terrain. Map is a piece of paper. You can see where you're going. Terrain is actually being on the ground. A hill looks very different on a map than in person. You know what I mean? A waterfall looks very different in a map than in person. And you are the terrain. You're a real life example. You, Rich, you're a real life example. And part of that invisible influence is kind of the wind for a lot of great people's sails, because they realize, oh shit, I've been living a smaller life because I don't want to stand out too much in front of my family or the people that I know. I think there's a British saying, it's like the tallest poppy gets cut, meaning, people who brag usually get taken down. So the one thing I give you a lot of credit for is that you lead silently. You have invisible influences, which means you're not always banging your chest saying, oh, everybody should be like me because I'm living better than you. Nah, bro, you're healthy. You got a happy family. Your house is always in order. You own your home. You know what I mean? Even though your first relationship wasn't an ideal one, you had a kid young, you rebounded. And I think whether you know it or not, shit, you're the Jay-Z to your family. You're the
Yeah.
only person in real life that's not a map, but is more terrain that they can see on the day to day. And again, I admire you very much as a friend. So you're a living example of what can be done, even when the world is pushing back against you. So that I think that's incredible. That not only your son, the son is kind of expected, but
Yeah. Yeah.
the wild card is that you're influencing your brother's kids and your family's kids. That's incredible. Like, did you even realize you were setting the tone for your whole family until they told you?
No, no. And I think that's what set me back. And
Does it even feel? It probably even feels crazy that I'm saying that to you. That's you're setting the tone for your family.
yeah, it feels good, bro. And in hearing you, which by the way, thank you for speaking so beautifully about me.
That's a fact.
um, nah, I appreciate it, bro, and it's likewise on this side. But I think that's interesting, right? Like one of the things that is super important when you're operating, when you're influencing, right, is it's one thing to tell someone what to do and how to do it, and it's another thing when they've seen you do it, right? When you're observing someone who's reached something that you want to obtain, it's like, oh wait, that's achievable.
Yeah.
They did it, and that's a family member of mine. We got the same last name, right? Versus, and I think that's the interesting dynamic between the role that I play as sort of like a silent influencer in the family, and my brother, who's the father, who's like, nah, you got to do this, you got to do
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
but
I
he
know that
hasn't
from
done it
being an
himself.
uncle. I definitely that's a luxury for being an uncle. Yeah.
Yeah, but he hasn't done it himself, right? So he's like, all right, cool, cool, pops. Like I'm gonna listen to you, but my uncle's already done what you're telling me I need to
Yeah.
do. You
And
know what I
that's your
mean?
younger brother, so he still has time too.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. No, not on my brother. I love my brother. He's doing very well for himself. But there's a different level of influence there, right? Um, which is dope. And I think, see, with great power comes great responsibility, right? Like now that I've put some information out there,
Yeah,
and
you're
I've
getting the
received some
burden.
feedback. Yeah, not feel like it's a little bit of a burden because I'm
Yeah,
like,
if
oh,
you smoke a cigarette, now you're like, fuck.
you're flicking it.
Yeah, yeah. Your nephew's
Um,
gonna be like, you smoke? I want to smoke. You be like, nah, I
no,
can't.
no, no. But this is good. This is new information for me, right? Like now I'm like, wow, I really have the ability to influence the next generation of my last name. And I asked a question, I got some feedback, and I know they're watching. So
Mhm.
now it's fun. Now it's like, all right, what can I do? You know what I mean? Like, do I get another certification and just show them like all the plaques up there, right? Like, do I buy another property and show them like, hey, you can invest in multiple things, right? Like that was fun because it's like the more I obtain, the more I achieve, the more they think that it's attainable for them, as they should, right? But it's to your point, it's breaking the lineage of like that. I think one time we spoke about the flea in the jar. It's like the flea will only jump as high as it thinks it could jump when it's there's a jar on top. But then when you take the jar out, it still only jumps as high as the height of the jar. They don't know how far they can jump until they see someone close proximity um, jumping higher than what they thought possible.
I mean, that's a great analogy. And not to get too pseudo political, but the fact that we're even seen as fleas is a whole other. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
certain animals are just left behind because they're insignificant. You only you only matter to the world until you matter to the world. You know, like you only
yeah,
matter to women until you're beneficial to women. You only matter to your employer until you can do something that's of service to the greater mission, which is the person who owns the company needs your services. And the same goes for being an invisible influence on your family. You only matter to the world until you matter to the world. You could think you matter, you could want to matter, but you have to actually do something that contributes to the greater village. So